Hello friends, my name is Kalen and I'm an end-user computing specialist at Amazon Web Services. Today I'll be demonstrating the Amazon WorkSpaces Thin Client setup and administration experience, including creating your first Thin Client environment in your AWS account, as well as getting your first Thin Client activated and logged in to your EUC service. In case you didn't already know, the Amazon WorkSpaces Thin Client is a low-cost, easy-to-use device that connects users to their supported AWS EUC services and has simple, direct-from-Amazon shipping logistics. This demonstration assumes that you already have an existing deployment of at least one Amazon WorkSpaces and at least one stack in AppStream 2.0 in an AWS region that is supported by the WorkSpaces Thin Client. For a full list of those regions, I'll leave a link to the documentation in the description below. We're going to start with the console experience. So I've already logged into my AWS account and browsed to my WorkSpaces Thin Client console in my desired region. And from this default view, I can follow the Order Devices link to the Amazon Business website to order a Thin Client, but since I already have one, we're going to select Getting Started in order to create our first environment. You'll notice the console offers a Getting Started summary and that I have no environments currently, so I'm going to select Create Environment to get our first one going. Our first step is to provide a friendly label to help me identify the environment. And this doesn't need to be a globally unique name, so feel free to follow your naming standard or preferences as you see fit. You'll also notice below that there are some options for controlling the automatic delivery of updates to the WorkSpaces Thin Clients, as well as the maintenance window in which those updates may be installed. I'm not going to make any changes there, so we're going to move on to the next step. Select the virtual desktop service you'd like the environment to deliver. In this case, we're going to start with WorkSpaces, so I'll leave this selected on the default. Once you select WorkSpaces, the directory IDs in the region that meet the requirements will be automatically listed. And for a list of those requirements, you can refer to the WorkSpaces Thin Client documentation. Links are in the description of the video below. And if you do not see your directory listed, you can select Manage WorkSpaces Directories to update your directory configuration. We're going to go ahead and select My Available Directory, and then we can select Create Environment. I'm automatically returned to the Environments page, and my new environment is listed, and that completes the setup for the WorkSpaces environment. We're going to repeat those steps, except for AppStream 2.0, so I'm going to select Create Environment again. As you can see, the same rules apply to the Environment Details section as mentioned in the WorkSpaces environment setup, so I'll start by providing a friendly name for the environment, and I won't make any changes to the automatic software update defaults or the maintenance window. Then I'll scroll down and select AppStream 2.0 as my desired service, and AppStream stacks in my region that meet the requirements will be automatically listed here. Again, that list of requirements is covered in the earlier mentioned Thin Client documentation. The link is in the description of the video below. If you do not see your stack listed, though, you can select Manage AppStream 2.0 Stacks to update your configuration. I'm going to go ahead and select my stack here, and after doing so, I'll be asked to supply the URL from my identity provider that I want to direct the user to. This could be the URL for your organization's application landing page, serviced by your identity provider or IDP, or it could be the identity provider's direct link to the application if you prefer. I'm going to go with the landing portal and select Create Environment. And back to the Environments page we go, and my second environment is listed. Let's dismiss our notifications and navigation pane so we can better focus on our two new environments here. You'll notice a column for device count, which I presently have none, and a column for the activation code. We'll use this code in later steps to activate the Thin Client. Let's take a quick look at the details for my WorkSpaces environment by selecting the blue link with its friendly name. And here you'll be able to view or edit the current configuration of the environment and see when it was created or modified. Let's go back and we can visit that same view for my AppStream 2.0 environment. It reveals similar information, including that identity provider URL we provided earlier, as well as the option to edit that configuration. So now that both of these environments are created and configured, we are ready to activate our first Amazon WorkSpaces Thin Client. After successfully connecting the WorkSpaces Thin Client, the device should begin the out-of-box experience. I'm going to verify my language selection and select Next to continue. Next, I need to follow the on-screen prompts to identify my keyboard type, and then I'll confirm my keyboard language, and I'll select Next to continue. To get connected to the internet, you can use an Ethernet connection like I am, or if you don't have an Ethernet cable connected, Wi-Fi networks will be listed here if you prefer. I'm already good, so I selected Connect to continue. And since my connection to the internet was successful, I'm now presented with the activation code prompt. The activation code is a unique code per WorkSpaces thin client environment and should be provided to users as part of their setup instructions. Users will need that activation code in order to move forward. I'm going to go ahead and enter my activation code for my WorkSpaces environment and then select Activate to continue. Quickly returning to the AWS console, I can select the refresh button and I can see that the device count for my WorkSpaces environment has changed to 1. Let's take a look at what the device pane looks like in the console. So I'm going to open the navigation pane on the left and I'm going to select Devices. In this view, I can see devices listed by serial number and some other useful information. I'm going to select the blue link to my device so we can see more details, including user activity, last logon, and the active status. Up in the Actions menu, I have options to modify the device friendly name and options to reset, deregister, or delete the device, or export the device info to a comma-separated value file. Back on our WorkSpaces thin client, during the activation process, the device may check for any software updates that are available, and if found, it will download and apply them at this time. Also, depending on the size and the scope of those updates, your device may also reboot. After successful activation using my activation code, my WorkSpaces thin client has automatically adopted the WorkSpaces registration code that is associated with the directory we selected when we created the thin client environment. But before we sign in, let's take a look around the details of the user interface. At the top right of the screen, we have language options as well as a settings menu. The settings menu allows users to enable or disable the saving of WorkSpaces registration codes, as well as provide a friendly label to those codes if desired. And users can also enable or disable diagnostic logging if they're working with support agents. On the far right side, we have an auto-hiding toolbar with controls that apply to the thin client itself. Users can use this menu to return to the home screen here, access device settings, network settings, and power control settings such as the sleep option, restart, and shut down. Let's take a closer look at the settings panel. On the About pane, we can see general device information and software version information. There's also an option to reset the device to its factory out-of-box state. Users can also change their language selection here. There's a few options in the drop-down box. Obviously, I'm going to stick with English this time. And also on the left, we can see network and Wi-Fi settings. If we want to change to a different network, we can view notifications, including planned software updates. And we can see connected peripheral information and potentially change our preferred devices and settings. We can also set sleep timeout and time zone in this screen. Once users select Sign In, they'll be prompted to authenticate. In this example, we're using a simple username-password configuration, so your experience may vary depending on your organization's authentication requirements. After successful authentication, the user will be connected to their Amazon workspaces. I have some in-session controls accessible via an automatically hiding toolbar at the top of the screen. Move the mouse pointer all the way to the top of the screen to unhide it. Starting from the far left, users have controls to enable microphone redirection, audio redirection, and webcam redirection. Also, the second display settings can be configured here as well. Over on the far right, the drop-down menu that's labeled with the WorkSpaces hostname offers users additional preferences for things like general appearance and toolbar behavior, as well as an area for display resolution settings, and you can change your camera selection here. Users can disconnect from their workspaces by navigating to the menu in the top right and selecting Disconnect. This will return the user to the home screen of the WorkSpaces thin client. When the device is ready to be returned or reconfigured for a new environment, I can access the Settings panel from the right side navigation pane and select Reset Device to return the WorkSpaces thin client to its factory state. I'm going to go ahead and do that now so I can reactivate my thin client for my AppStream 2.0 environment that I also created. The thin client should reboot, and after a few minutes, it should return you to the out-of-box experience. Since I already covered that experience earlier in the video, I'll jump straight to the step where I enter in my activation code for the environment I created for AppStream 2.0. And then I'll select Activate to continue. Back on our AWS console, we can refresh again, and you'll see my device count has changed. In this case, the device seamlessly moved from my WorkSpaces environment to my AppStream 2.0 environment without any administrator intervention. Returning to the Thin client, I'm presented with the login screen for my identity provider. I'm still using the simple username and password configuration as I did earlier in the video, so your experience may vary depending on your organization's authentication requirements. For more details about how your SAML 2.0 identity provider may integrate with AppStream 2.0, I'll leave a link to some documentation in the description of the video below. Once we've authenticated, instead of initiating a desktop connection immediately, I configured my environment to present my application landing page so I could select my resource. In this case, I'll select the icon for the fleet I chose when creating my environment, and within a few moments, I should be connected and logged on to my desktop. Now that I'm here, I can access my in-session options from the toolbar at the top. Starting from the left, I can open the application selection, active window, and file transfer menus, as well as the settings menu for audio and video devices, screen resolutions, and regional settings. I also have full screen and multiple monitor controls here. Similar to WorkSpaces, when I'm ready to end my session and log off, I can select the menu in the top right and choose End Session. After confirming, I will be returned to the home screen of the WorkSpaces Thin client. And that concludes our demonstration for today. Here's a quick list of the resources we used. I'll also include these links in the description of the video below. Thank you so much for your time, and have a wonderful day.